Spring has finally arrived. Well, sort of, with a bit overcast weather, but it's time to get this installed, which is our Grandstream outdoor wireless access point, and it's Wi-Fi 7. We're going to be installing it on this wooden panel here. So what we first need to do is get the bracket fixed to there, which I've already marked with the spirit level. So I've marked the holes with a pen and the spirit level, so it's level on the wall as it can be. So let's get started, and apologies for any background noise for the birds singing and so on. So unfortunately I don't have any washers, so at the moment I'm using these metal rings which will suffice as washers, and they are cable connectors, as you'll hopefully see here against the background. So they're cable connectors there, which I'll be using temporarily as washers until I get some proper washers, which we'll need to fix the bracket on. So here we are with the first bracket. Now this bracket can be used as a pole mount, so you'll see there's grooves there. So there's a recessed groove which you can connect it to a pole if you wanted to with ring clips, but I'm connecting it to the wall, so we'll be connecting it like this with using the 4 holes there, 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom, and they will go. And as you can see, the holes are fairly large, hence why I'm using these temporary clips as washers to hold the screws in place. That's one screw in place at the top, and then the second one there we go, 2 screws in place with the bracket on there, as you can see. And then the final 2 is the bottom 2 screws. So that's solid in place, not going to go anywhere. So that's one bracket on, and then the other part of the bracket goes to the front here, which we'll show you in a moment. So here in this bag we have a set of screws which is supplied with the access point, and then the other part of the bracket goes on the back with the 4 screw holes in place on there. So just going to tighten up these screws on here now. So you need one of these, which is a hexagon shaped attachment, and these tighten up properly into the holes so that it fixes to the back of the access point itself. Now, as I've said, this is Wi-Fi 7, and it has a range of, in a triangular pattern, of 350 meters, or in a circular pattern. So if you're using the external antennas, it will give you a circular pattern, and that has a diameter range of 200 meters. But if you're using the internal antennas, so you don't have to use the external ones which connect at the top here. So those are all fully tightened up now. And then what we can do is, you'll see the grounding connector there. So what I'll do is put a terminal on there, connect the wire before we mount it onto the wall, so that it's easier to get to that screw. So I'll do that right now. Here's the grounding cable. As you can see, I put a connector on the end of that, which will be connected to the grounding rod, which I'll show you shortly. And the other terminal on the back is to the grounding connector on the back of the access point. So now what we'll do is we'll connect it onto the bracket, onto the wall. And before I do that, I'll show you the recessed panel. And there we have the connector. So it has both a 2.5 gigabit PoE Plus port and also an SFP port as well, and then the factory reset button underneath there. So I'll be using the 2.5 gigabit port, and it's the PoE Plus, so it requires PoE Plus 802.3 AT. Then lining the bracket up, I'll be using the screw, and then on the other side we'll be putting a nut and including a washer. There's also washers on the end of the screw as well. So I'll just loosely connect this one up and loosely tighten it, and then with the other side we'll do the same. And you can angle this access point as well, so if you want to tilt it downwards, a downward angle or an upward angle, you can actually do that. So now we'll put the other 2 in place, which, as I've said, are supplied in this bag here. Yes, it is a little bit fiddly, but Once you get the hang of it and get 1 or 2 done, then you can do the others as well. This is the final screw, and then what we'll do is tighten them up once we've connected the Ethernet cable as well, which I've already prepared and I'll show you in a moment. So I do have Ethernet sockets in these sheds here, which extends to the network in my house, so that's making things a lot easier. But of course, if you don't have Ethernet to your outbuildings, then you would have to run the Ethernet cable, which there are other videos of course on the internet how to do that if you want to run Ethernet cables, just bearing in mind of course the length as well, so the distance between the house and the sheds. But as I said, there's a couple of Ethernet sockets in this shed here behind me, which I'll show you in a few minutes. Here's the Ethernet cable, which I've already terminated at the end here with a connector. So these are pass-through connectors I'm using, and I put a boot on the end as well. So this will go into the back of the access point, and we should, yeah, we've got a green light, so the green light is on, so that means it's connected. So I'll just tighten this access point up now to the distance we want, and then we can connect the cables. But before we do that, we'll put the cover back on the outlet and grip it through the cable grommet there. So there is a cable grommet there to hold the cable in place. That's clipped and locked into place, all sealed. So we've got the Ethernet cable, the grounding cable, which we need to connect to the end of the earthing rod down there. So I'll just tighten these up first. So that one is tightened. So I'm using an adjustable spanner here, and as I've said, the end piece in the screwdriver, so the attachment there, and it's a hexagon piece in there for these screws, and they're fully tightened. That access point is now in place. As you can see, it's fixed and it's as vertical as it can be, or as I want it to be. And then one final thing is of course to put the 2 antennas, which are supplied with the access point of course, so we'll be putting those in so we get the omnidirectional range. Now again, these have rubber seals on both, so they have a rubber seal on there and also on the connectors at the top. And these rubber connectors, which I will recommend keeping, are if you're not using the external antennas, so you just leave those on. So they're tightened on, sealed, and there we should have omnidirectional range once of course we've got this set up. So as you can see, the Ethernet cable here, it runs through the door frame of the shed and it goes into the shed. I'll show you in there in a moment. So what we'll first do is tidy up this grounding cable here to the earthing rod down here, and then of course I'll be clipping the cables with cable ties along the wall. I'll just angle the camera down and show you the earthing rod there is here with the grounding cable. So what I'll do is tighten the connector up on there to make sure that the terminal is tight against the metal and the screws on the grounding rod terminal. And then what we can do now, tidy up these cables by clipping it. So we'll do that now. In fact, what I'll do is clip this cable in place and then restart the video, and then we'll carry on and do the same for the Ethernet cable as well, and then we'll be back once I've clipped the cables in place. So here we are with the access point in place, all fixed onto the bracket, onto the wooden panel on my shed wall. Grounding or earthing connector is to the back of the access point, runs down, and we've got the Ethernet cable connected. We've got a drip loop there, we've got the running drip loop there, so the water will run down. Ethernet cables goes round into the shed, which I'll show you in a moment. But for the grounding, we've got the grounding cable running down and it goes to the grounding rod, which is deep in the ground, and I think it's about 5 foot deep, which is fine by me. Probably not quite up to regulations, I'm not sure, but it's grounded anyway from the access point. So now we'll move around to the shed. So here is where the Ethernet cable runs through the door frame. It doesn't obstruct the door at all from closing. So we have 2 RJ45 Ethernet sockets there. So there's a double socket with outdoor rated cable that runs back up to the house along a wall through conduit. So it is outdoor exterior rated cable. Now I will put links to everything in the video description, including this cable, the access point, and also the surge protector, which you'll hopefully see here, which goes from the socket and there's a cable loop there, so there's spare cable from the access point and that goes to the access point. So I will be grounding this as well, so I'll be grounding, there is a grounding connector on this left side here just behind my finger, so I'll be connecting that as well to the grounding rod outside. So here we are, it's all finished. The sun has just started to shine as I've now finished the work. Anyway, we got the job done, we got the access point fitted, antennas, grounding down to the grounding rod, which I'll show you in a moment, the Ethernet cable which runs into the shed. So for the grounding, you'll see the cable runs all the way down to this grounding rod here, so it's earthed from the access point, and you'll also see the other grounding earthing cable or grounding cable, whichever you like to refer to them as, is running horizontally round the wall through into the shed, so it goes through the door frame. Now just to confirm, it doesn't obstruct the door closing at all, and also as well we have the Ethernet cable which also runs from the access point through into the shed. With the Ethernet cable coming through into the shed, it's coiled up and then it goes into the PoE surge protector here. Now, as I've said earlier in the video, I'll put links to all this information and products in the video description so you can go and check things out. So it's the PoE surge protector, and that's also grounded, as you'll see with the grounding cable, which runs down, and that's the horizontal cable that runs outside on the shed wall, so that's also grounded. And that connects to the two RJ45 Ethernet ports here. So I've got one spare, so that will be in use in future videos, so keep a look out for further videos coming up, hopefully soon, where I'll be doing another outdoor video as well. So I've also got two electrical sockets there, again for future use and for outdoor electrical appliances and so on. So there we have it, from a windswept Mr. Tim Tech installing this Grandstream GWN7670LR, which is their outdoor long-range wireless access point. So thanks for watching this video. Sorry about all the issues, so it's difficult for me to film while installing at the same time. But anyway, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll be back soon.